Amigos, hola, Stuart here with another video. And if you spend 5 minutes online nowadays, you would think that Spain is falling apart. Housing crisis, over-tourism, high unemployment, bureaucracy, rising prices, and let's not forget immigration. Right? And none of these problems are made up. Yes, Spain does have its issues, but in this video today, I'm going to try and prove to you guys that Spain is still one of the better countries in the world when it comes to quality of life and living. So let's get started. Now let's start with what is perhaps the biggest problem facing the average Spaniard nowadays. Housing. Now I know what some people are going to say, Stuart, housing is an issue in many countries nowadays. Yes, that is true, but here in Spain, the problem is particularly bad. Basically, a lot of people, especially young people, will never be able to buy their own home. And it has become a huge political issue in recent times. Lots of people have copped the blame for this, especially tourists in recent times. A lot of people are saying that one of the main reasons for the lack of affordable housing here in Spain is because there's too many tourists. The tourists are taking up that accommodation and the locals are missing out. And yes, it is partly true, but I would say that it's affecting more the rental market here in Spain than the buying market, if that makes sense. But again, just my opinion. One of the big issues for me as far as housing is concerned is that everybody in Spain wants to live in the same places. They want to live in the big cities. Think Madrid, think Barcelona, think Valencia, think Malaga, and in those cities there is a huge housing crisis. Basically, young people will never be able to get onto the property market, as I said a couple of minutes ago. And the irony is that there are many places in Spain where people don't want to live, and housing in those places is a lot cheaper, of course. So governments here in Spain have a huge job trying to convince people to move to the parts of the country where people no longer want to live. How are they going to do that? I've got no idea, because it's all about services. People want services. They want good schools for their kids. They want universities. They want hospitals. They want doctors. But unfortunately, in what's known as the emptied Spain, a lot of these services have dried up. And unless a huge investment is made to get these essential services back to some of these parts of Spain, people ain't going to go there. It's as simple as that. Now, let's talk about one of the other huge problems facing this country currently: over-tourism. And one of the big problems with tourism here in Spain is that the majority of tourists go to the same places. They go to the Balearic Islands, they go to the Canary Islands, they go to Andalusia, they go to the Valencian community, they go to the big cities, Madrid, Barcelona, for example, and then other parts of the country completely miss out on tourism. For example, the place where I am today. Not too many tourists here, that's for sure. But this is a beautiful part of the country. But as I said, not many tourists coming here. However, the government does have a plan as far as this issue is concerned, and it's trying to encourage people to visit parts of the country like this one where I am currently. But again, this is going to be a huge challenge because Spain has been promoting those popular destinations for decades and decades and decades, and people are fairly stuck in their ways. People go back to the Balearic Islands every year. People go back to the Costa del Sol every year. People go to the Canary Islands every year, and they're not thinking about coming to rural parts of the country like this. Of course, there's always going to be adventurous people that are willing to go off the beaten track and explore the parts of Spain that the majority don't see, but that majority keep on going back to the same places. And the statistics Prove this. And it's in the popular tourist destinations here in Spain where locals are complaining the most, and that's where tourist protests are happening around the country. For example, in the Canary Islands, in the Balearic Islands, people have taken to the streets to protest against the mass tourism model. So another problem that the government needs to get on top of. Not sure when that's going to happen. We live in hope, but apparently the government is working on it. Now, time to talk about another one of the problems affecting Spain currently, the environment. Now, I'm not going to mention those two important words that begin with the letter C, because some of you out there are obviously a little bit skeptical, but you only have to read the press and the big stories that have been breaking internationally about Spain to realize that as far as the environment is concerned, something's going on. And almost every day here in Spain, we are reminded by the press and politicians of those two words that, as I said, begin with the letter C. And who can forget those famous floods back in 2024 that claimed over 200 lives? Or more recently, serious fires that claimed more people's lives. Something's changing. It's all about the extremes, it seems, especially when it comes to summer temperatures. Spain is getting more heat waves than it's ever had before. Nighttime temperatures are hotter than they have ever been before, and people are noticing this. Now, I know what some people are going to be saying in the comment section. Spain is a hot country. It's always been a hot country. Nothing to see here, move on. Well, these comments will obviously be coming from people that don't live here in Spain, because the people that do live here in Spain will tell you that it's hotter than it's ever been, and these heat waves are lasting longer than they've ever lasted before. And if you believe the scientific evidence, it's all there in black and white. Now, let's talk about another one of the issues that Spain is currently dealing with: immigration. And immigration has been a very hot topic politically in recent times, not only here in Spain, in other parts of Europe and the world as well. But here in Spain in particular, it's been making the international press quite a lot. Why is this? Well, basically, Spain has decided to do things differently as far as immigration is concerned. Instead of kicking people out, it's decided to let people stay, to allow people to work, allow people to contribute to the Spanish system and Spanish society. And a lot of people out there don't like that idea. You only have to go onto the internet nowadays to see just how many people are saying that Spain is gone, that Spain is doing things badly, that Spain isn't the same as it used to be. Now, the majority of people that are putting this type of content onto the internet don't live here in Spain. They have an agenda. They have an anti-immigration agenda, and especially an anti-Islam agenda. And they're putting this rubbish all over the internet. And people are sending me these videos all the time saying, "Stuart, what do you think of this? Stuart, is this true? Is this really happening in Spain?" Well, take a look for yourselves. I walk around many parts of this country. I film in many parts of this country. The north, the south, the east, the west. Believe me, it's not as bad as a lot of these bloggers or content creators say, because as I said a minute or so ago, they have an agenda. And basically, when it comes to immigration, that agenda is to spread hate, to tell us that we're being overrun by immigrants. And believe me, the content is coming thick and fast, because people have realized that they can make a lot of money saying this absolute shit. Yes, there are problems in Spain as far as immigration is concerned, but believe me, they're not as bad as some of these people would like you to believe. And the majority of people, the overwhelming majority of people that come to this country to start a new life, want to do just that. They want to start a new life. They want to have opportunity. It's all about opportunity. But the haters are going to hate, right? They're always going to hate, especially when it's politically motivated hate. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, and you guys would be aware of this, that the problems affecting Spain are not unique to Spain. Every country in the world has issues. I mean, look at the UK, look at the USA, look at Canada, look at Australia. Every country in the world has issues. And they're the same things in those countries than they are here in Spain. Politicians might deal with them differently. For example, immigration, as I have mentioned. What's happening here in Spain is not happening in some other parts of the world, as we are well aware. And housing availability and housing affordability are right up there as far as problems are concerned in many countries, not only here in Spain. Now, despite all of the negatives that I have mentioned in this video, there are still some positive things about Spain. The relaxed lifestyle that Spain has on offer is still available in the majority of the country. Yes, there's stress in the big cities, but get outside of those big cities and you can still find a fairly stress-free environment. The climate is still a pro the majority of the year. Yes, there are some extremes. Yes, there have been some tragedies in recent times, some phenomenons as far as the weather is concerned, but in general, Spain still has a fairly attractive climate, especially if you're coming from the north of Europe. Public transport in the majority of Spanish towns and cities is still very, very good, and it's also easy to get around the majority of places here in Spain on foot, which is a pro, or by bike, which is also a pro. Let's not forget the fantastic food culture. All over Spain, you can eat and drink incredibly well. And importantly, for a lot of people, work-life balance is still very, very good. Now, time to have what I think is an important discussion on how Spain is often portrayed on social media. And let's be honest about this, it's often portrayed fairly negatively. You always see the bad things about Spain. You see the tourist protests. You see people walking around filming only black people here in Spain, only Muslim people here in Spain, saying that there are ghettos all over the place. And if you watch my videos, you don't see any of that stuff. And the reason that you're seeing this negative version of Spain on social media is because the algorithms reward outrage. It's as simple as that. So when there's a tourist protest happening anywhere in Spain, that's what you're going to be bombarded with. You're also going to be under the impression that Spain is full of pickpockets. It's not true. I walk around Spain all the time and I have never had my pockets picked. You're also going to be told that Spain is finished, it's being overrun by immigrants, and that you're not safe anywhere anymore. Absolute rubbish. Yes, Spain does have its issues, and I've mentioned some of them throughout this video, but believe me, it's not as bad as people would like you to believe. So time to wrap this video up, and to summarize, all I'm going to say is that Spain is not a paradise. It never has been. Yes, it has its issues. Some are more serious than others, but if you're looking for a country in the world that doesn't have any issues, good luck with that. The real matter here isn't that Spain has issues, it's whether the positives outweigh the negatives, and in my opinion, they still do. So don't believe all of the rubbish, all of the fabrication, all of the lies that you see on social media. Spain is still a great country to live. But hey, that's just my opinion, and I'd love to hear your opinion on the matter in the comment section below. And if you have anything else to add to the conversation, also, that is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss a video when I publish it. Until the next one, hasta luego from sunny Spain.